Hey there, it's been a while since the last video. There's a lot going on in the world, as we all know, and we're not traveling like we used to, but neither is anyone else much. I do still have quite a bit of pre-COVID footage backlog that I want to start editing and uploading a little more frequently than I've been doing. I'm hoping to start doing maybe twice a month. So if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, please hit the notification bell below wherever it is on the page so you'll be notified when there's a new upload. This video is the long-awaited St. Petersburg Part 2. I had a really cool intro, but I was standing in the roundabout, thought I was facing traffic. I wasn't. Car came up behind me. The driver blew the horn at the stupid tourist. I dropped the camera, the file corrupted, so I don't have my cool intro. So I'm sitting at home in front of my green screen, superimposing myself over the footage that I do have. Today we're going to see the Hermitage, the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood, take a canal cruise through central St. Petersburg, and visit the Peter and Paul Fortress, plus a few more things along the way. So let's roll that footage. From a distance, you can see the steeple of the cathedral at the Peter and Paul Fortress. We'll actually go inside a little later in this video. We're arriving at the Winter Palace and the Hermitage Museum. The Winter Palace was the official residence of the Russian emperors from 1732 to 1917. Today the palace houses the Hermitage Museum and its vast collection. The Winter Palace contains 1,500 rooms and attracts nearly 5 million visitors annually. Palace Square is the central city square of St. Petersburg. Many significant events have taken place there, including the Bloody Sunday Massacre and parts of the October Revolution of 1917. In the center of the square stands the Alexander Column. The monument is claimed to be the tallest of its kind in the world at 155 feet 8 inches and is topped with the statue of an angel holding a cross. We're walking into the Hermitage now. I had arranged a museum tour prior to our trip, and our guide actually got us inside just prior to the official opening time. You'll see how crowded it gets when we're leaving. The Hermitage is the second largest art museum in the world. It was founded in 1764 with Catherine the Great's collection of paintings. The collections comprise of over 3 million items. If you spend 1 minute viewing each piece of art, and you spend 8 hours a day, 7 days a week doing that, it would take you about 15 years to see everything. To visit all 350 exhibition rooms, you would walk over 6 miles. The peacock clock has 3 mechanical birds, an owl, peacock, and rooster, all made of gold. The museum has continually employed about 50 cats. since the time of Elizabeth I, daughter of Peter the Great, for pest control. The Hermitage collection contains two masterpieces by Leonardo da Vinci, the Madonna Lita and Benoit Madonna. And this is a more normal representation of how crowded the museum becomes during the day. You can see the inside of St. Isaac's Cathedral in part 1. The bronze horseman is an equestrian statue of Peter the Great in the Senate Square. The State Russian Museum is the world's largest depository of Russian fine art. The Mikhailovsky Palace houses the main building of the Russian Museum. St. Catherine's Armenian Church is an Armenian apostolic church on Nevsky Prospect. Built in the 1770s, it's one of the earliest Armenian churches in Russia. Nevsky Prospect is the city's main avenue. It's the central shopping street and the hub of entertainment and nightlife. The Nikolay Akimov St. Petersburg Comedy Theater at 56 Nevsky Prospect. The monument to Catherine the Great, whose reign is called the Golden Age of Russia, is memorialized with carvings of dignitaries at her feet. Next, we took a canal cruise on the Fontanka River through St. Petersburg out to the Neva River. There are many places around the city where you can just walk up, buy a ticket, and off you go. But you might want to ask first if you want an English-speaking guide. It was cold when we were there, so nearly all of the passengers opted to cruise inside the cabin. I stayed outside to show you the city from the canal.
And there is an interesting tradition which is in the times of the legend rather than the flight that we see the spirit of the Russian emperor. This is the sound like and this is St. Petersburg Bridge.
The Neva is the main waterway of St. Petersburg. It is one of the largest rivers in Europe by volume and one of the shortest at only 74 kilometers.
peaceful demonstration. They came with their wives, with their children, carrying items and horses of the guard, but it was partially.
The Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood is a former Russian Orthodox church which currently functions as a museum. It was constructed between 1883 and 1907 and was built on the site where Emperor Alexander II was assassinated in 1881. The suffix "on spilled blood" refers to his assassination. The church contains over 7,500 square meters of mosaics. In the aftermath of the Russian Revolution, the church was ransacked and looted. The Soviet government closed the church in 1932. During the Second World War, the church was used as a temporary morgue for those who died in combat and from starvation and illness. It was reopened as a museum in 1997 after 27 years of restoration. The Peter and Paul Fortress is the original citadel of St. Petersburg, founded by Peter the Great in 1703. Between the first half of the 1700s and early 1920s, it served as a prison for political criminals. Since 1924, it has functioned as a history museum. The Peter and Paul Cathedral was built between 1712 and 1733. The cathedral is the burial place of all Russian czars from Peter I to Alexander III, with the exception of Peter II and Ivan VI. Catherine the Great is also buried here. It's officially a museum. However, Russian Orthodox religious services were allowed to resume in 2000. If you haven't already, please check out my video for St. Petersburg, Part 1. Thanks for watching this episode of Walking Around with Herb in St. Petersburg, Part 2. If you like these videos, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.